Welcome back to the West Georgia Gridiron Podcast. I'm your host, Mason Taylor. And as always, I'm joined by my father, my co-host, my producer, Mark Taylor. And this is our warm-up for the semifinals, Game 14. I'm so proud that we have 3 teams in it.
Yes, and because we have 3 teams, Mason, what I thought we'd do is spend a little bit more time on our fan zone tonight. So what's ahead is fan zone, games of the week, semifinals brackets, and Mason's matchup. So going into our fan zone, I want to point this out. So, I don't know what's going on here. The article came out for Sports Business Journal. Are the Buffs broke? So they're in a $27 million deficit, meaning they are $27 million behind where they should be in their fiscal year. So that looks like $20.5 million is going to pay players. $10 million towards the head coach, Deion Sanders, for his salary. Hey, $20.5 million paid to the players, and their 6 last games. $20.5 million being paid to players, and they've lost their last 6 games straight. They're 3-9 for the season. How do you justify that? I mean, we're paying for what? For who?
I don't know. I really don't. I always thought Deion Sanders was pretty overrated as a coach. I always thought his son was pretty overrated as a quarterback. I thought Travis Hunter, honestly, he was good, but he was pretty overrated. I mean, it's just hype. That's all it's been. He's a great player. Has not obviously been a great head coach. And it's not to say anything bad about that program or that university, but obviously they have not done well this season. No matter what quarterback they put in, they've not been good. And I mean, $27 million. I mean, that's just ridiculous. That's a ridiculous amount of money. And you see right there, it says Colorado University will not. It says they will not cut sports nor cut any resources for student athletes, but will look to cut expenses. So I don't really understand how they're expecting to do that. But I would be pretty upset if my team was spending all that money and we were not seeing results. That's a ridiculous amount.
Look, I know Juju Lewis is there. He's decided to set out this last game so he could redshirt, but I know some of that's probably going to him. I don't know that for sure, but if it is, I'm not trying to mess up your money. All right, and then Kaiden Prothro, I just want to congratulate these two. We'll start with Kaiden Prothro from the Bowdon Red Devils. Breaks Georgia state record for the most career touchdown receptions, 63. Congratulations, Mr. Prothro. And then Cam Wood, as Mason pointed out to me today, committed to Liberty, flipped his commitment from the University of West Georgia as a running back for Carrollton Trojans to Liberty. Mason, comment on these.
Well, yeah, first of all, for Kaiden Prothro, what an accomplishment to be able to say you've done something that nobody in the history of the state of Georgia at the high school level has been able to do. And there's been a lot of great players that have come out of the state of Georgia. And to be the one to say that you're the only one that's been able to do that is so impressive. And he still has at least 1 game to go to extend that record. And then Cam Wood, obviously, we've seen him throughout the year get more and more offers. It started off with, Furman and then it's, turned into West Georgia, turned into, UT Martin, turned into Tarleton State. And I don't recall him ever getting an offer from Liberty. But when I saw this morning that he had flipped his commitment on signing day to Liberty, I was very surprised. I was very happy for him. And that's nothing to say bad about West Georgia. But to go D1 FBS after, this is your only season starting at the varsity level is incredible. And I'm very proud that he's made that decision for himself, and I hope he does great at the next level.
Yeah, he ran wild all over Grayson Rams. Somebody was posting, a couple people on social media that he's obviously juicing. Look, young man, this guy is fit. He works out. He works hard, and I'm telling you, let him hit you one time and see if he's juicing. All right, GPB Sports Game of the Week, and North Gwinnett Bulldogs come to Carrollton Trojans, come to Grisham Stadium. They're about to find out. This should be a good one, Mason.
Yep.
And then game of the week for your pick as well, same for the semifinal. Of course, Carrollton 13-0, North Gwinnett 12-1. We're going to get into the details of that game just a little bit, but let's look to the brackets first. Mason, we're going to start with 1A Division 2.
Yep, on the left side of the brackets, our game, Bowdon and Clinch County. On the right side, they're going to be the winner of Bowdon and Clinch County will take on the winner of Early County and Lincoln County in the state championship. I'm a little surprised Early County got past Screven in the quarters after the performance Early gave against Mount Zion. I think their offense was a little bit questionable, and their defense as well. But Lincoln County smoked Brooks County. It wasn't close from start to finish, and Lincoln County is much deservedly so in the semifinal.
How do you see that going? You think Lincoln County is going to be
Lincoln
the matchup?
County's going to win, yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then, of course, 1A Division 1 with Heard County and Toombs County.
Yeah, our game this week, Heard County hosting Toombs County, and the winner of that game will go to the state championship, and they'll take on the winner of Worth County and Pepperell. Making it all the way to the semifinal.
The Dragons.
Pretty sure they went 2-8 last year as well, so to go from 2-8 to a semifinal is impressive. I will say they have had an easier path than others to the semis, but that's still nonetheless impressive to get to the semifinal. But they're taking on a Worth County team that's going to be really good, and I don't see it going Pepperell's way in that one. I think this is where Pepperell's run comes to an end, and it'll be a really good state championship regardless. But it'll be interesting to see who can get there.
Yep. And then I went ahead and included the 5A bracket just because, and I put a big red question mark, Mason. I don't know what's going on with this side or with Gainesville, but we finally got some decision. We'll see where this goes, but obviously some schedules have been able to been adjusted to be able to make that happen. So what do you see going on with these?
Yeah, so this Friday, which for every other class is going to be the semifinal round, this will be bye weeks for the Thomas County Central Roswell semifinal, and Rome will also have a bye week because this Friday, Gainesville will finally be playing and with all their players as well against Langston Hughes at Langston Hughes in the quarterfinal. Winner will take on Rome. If it's Gainesville who wins, Rome will have to go to Rome. But if Langston Hughes wins, Rome will have to go to Langston Hughes. I don't see Gainesville getting past Langston Hughes. I think Hughes' offense is just too good. So I think Hughes moves on to the semis, and then in the semis, I do think that it'll be interesting. I think Rome's a good team. I just think Langston Hughes is better. I do think Langston Hughes would beat Rome. If Gainesville were to beat Langston Hughes, even though they're on the road, I still think Gainesville would probably beat Rome as well. On the left side, that's going to be a really good game between Thomas County Central and Roswell. Roswell's going all the way down to Thomasville to play that game.
Yeah.
And Thomas County Central, I mean, Roswell's a good team, no, don't get me wrong, but Thomas County Central's on a mission. I don't see anyone stopping them, so I'm going to have to pick Thomas County Central to move on to the state championship, but they'll have to play that semifinal next week during for every other class, what will be the bye week before the state championships. They will be playing their semifinals on that Thursday, and then they'll finally be able to play their state championship actually in Atlanta. Good news for them because one of the teams would have had to host the state championship if that weren't going to happen, but I'm not going to get too far into this, but GHSA, I think it's a little stupid that they dragged this out just to end up giving Gainesville exactly what they wanted.
Well, was this all a decision by GHSA as far as the timing? Like, do the schools have to agree on this bye week?
I'm not sure, but I'm sure they would. Just, to kind of get things going. I'm sure they wouldn't want to delay it any longer than they have to.
All right. And then we've got 6A. We closed it out with Carrollton taking on North Gwinnett and then Valdosta and Buford. Yeah,
Carrollton, North Gwinnett is going to be our game. And, no shade on us. I love to watch us on TV. I do think that the Buford-Valdosta game will be more competitive than Carrollton-North Gwinnett. And that's not to say anything bad about North Gwinnett or, I love that Carrollton's going to be on TV for the second straight week. But I do think that GPB is only going to Carrollton because Valdosta is too far. That's all I'm going to say about that. But that Valdosta-Buford game is going to be good. Buford having to go all the way down to Valdosta does not help Buford at all. And Buford's a good team, but going down to Valdosta against a really good Valdosta team, it doesn't matter if Buford's the better team. Valdosta's going to be scary. I think Buford's on upset watch, but I'm going to take Buford to move on to the state championship.
All right. Well, congratulations to everybody that's still on the road to the championship. Best of luck. And then we're going to get into your matchups this week. So we started out with all 9 teams in the playoffs from Central West Georgia, which is extraordinary. It really is. It's exciting. We got to actually participate in that. And we kicked it off with a special state playoff show at Buffalo Wild Wings. They hosted that. And then now we're down to 3. So, let's just get into it, Mason. Are we starting with Carrollton or are we keeping them last? What are we doing?
No, we'll start off with Bowdon. Number 3, Bowdon. They're 11-2 on the year. They're going to be trapped.
Man. All right. Let me go back. Sinuses. All right, and then we get into your matchups this week, Mason. We started out with all 9 teams making it in, and now we're down to 3. So we start with Bowdon.
Yeah, 2 dominant signal callers are going to be playing in this game. Senior quarterback Joshua Hopkins for Bowdon, sophomore quarterback Travian Miller for Clinch County. And the Bowdon Red Devils will go all the way down northeast of Valdosta to Homerville in Clinch County to challenge the Clinch County Panthers at Panther Stadium, Donald Tyson Field. And each of these teams will be fighting to keep a win streak alive. Bowdon comes in on an 8-game win streak. Clinch County, obviously 13-0, so they have a 13-game win streak. And Bowdon also comes in on an 18-game playoff win streak. That has the last time they lost a playoff game was in 2021. Bowdon is on a roll after a high-stakes playoff matchup. Last Friday, they took their matchup with ease, backing a 49-22 victory over Jenkins County. The result was nothing new for the Red Devils, who have now won 10 of their 13 games by 20 points or more so far this season. Bowdon's win was a true team effort, with many players turning in solid performances, but perhaps the best among them was the senior wide receiver and now Georgia commit. He signed with Georgia today, Kaiden Prothro. He picked up 67 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. And like we said, Prothro, he's on a roll when it comes to receiving touchdowns. He's now hauled in 2 or more in each of the last 6 games he's played. And he also now, again, holds the record for most receiving touchdowns all time in Georgia high school football history. Sophomore running back Joshua Chandler was also another key player. He was the key rusher in this game, rushed for 121 yards and 1 score while picking up 7.6 yards per carry. Bowdon was unstoppable on the ground in total. They finished the game with 238 rushing yards, and the strong performance was nothing new for the team, who've now rushed for at least 175 yards in 6 straight games. On the other hand, though, you had a Clinch County team who didn't have too much breathing room in their last matchup when they took on number 6 Wheeler County at home in the quarterfinals, and they walked away with a 5-point victory, 27-22. Bowdon's win bumped their record up to 11-2. Obviously, we've already mentioned Clinch County 13-0. Bowdon strolled past Clinch County in their previous meeting back in the quarterfinals last year by a score of 31-13. That was played up in Bowdon. And the rematch might be a little tougher for the Red Devils since the squad will not have the home field advantage this time around. And we'll see if the change in venue makes a difference. This is the first time that Bowdon's going to Homerville all time. They played each other twice, obviously last year, and then I think they played in the 90s, but both of those were played at Bowdon. So this is the first time Bowdon has to go to Clinch County. And one thing I want to point out, Bowdon is really good. Clinch County is really good. But for Bowdon, they have 2 losses. Lost to Fellowship Christian, and they lost to Heard County. Heard County was the last opponent they played that was ranked. So since September, they have not played a ranked opponent. Now, they can't really do anything about that because after that Heard County game was region play and then the playoffs. So it's not their fault that they haven't played a ranked opponent because they haven't been able to pick the teams that they've been able to play since Heard County. But that does not help because Wheeler County, the past 2 weeks, has played ranked opponents, and Clinch County has played 2 ranked opponents in the last 2 weeks. They played Wheeler County and then ECI before that as well. So that does not help. But then Bowdon, the 2 hardest games of the year, at Fellowship Christian, at Heard County, they lost both of them. So they have not been able against tough teams to get it out this year, and they've both been on the road. So this is going to be a true test for Bowdon, going on the road, taking on one of the best teams they're going to play all season long up to this point. Can they get it done? This is going to be a really close one. Clinch County, again, they've been pulling off some close wins here at home in the playoffs. Very battle tested. Bowdon is on a 3 or 18-game playoff win streak, though. They've won 3 state championships in a row, and it's like I always say, to be the champion, you've got to beat the champion. I will not pick against the Bowdon Red Devils in this one. I do think it'll be a close game. I do think it'll be closer than people expect. I think this will be a 6-point game, a one score.
Ooh.
I do have Bowdon winning this one, though, 27-21.
Let's go.
I don't think that defense is going to be able to stop Joshua Hopkins. They're definitely not going to be able to stop Kaiden Prothro. And Joshua Chandler, the past 2 weeks has been excellent running the ball, which gives Joshua Hopkins a break. You want to keep your quarterback healthy, and when he's running all the time and getting hit, it doesn't necessarily do the job. So when you have a guy like Joshua Chandler, who even though he's a sophomore can go in there and get the job done on the ground, that helps out Bowdon tremendously. So I don't think that Clinch County is going to be able to stop them. But Travion Miller, I expect a big game from him, especially if Clinch County even wants to have even the slightest bit of a chance in this game. Travion Miller, their sophomore quarterback, is going to need a big game here. But I'm not going to pick against the 3-time state champions. Bowdon, I do think Bowdon goes on the road and gets a much deserved and much earned win as they move on to the state championship for the 4th straight year. But Clinch County, if they want to win this game, they have to prove that they can shut down the guy who has more receiving touchdowns than anyone in the history of Georgia high school football. And that guy is Kaiden Prothro. They have to shut him down. If they can't shut him down, it's going to be a long night for Clinch County, and I don't think they'll be able to do that. So I'm going to take Bowdon here in a close one.
Yeah. I don't even know what the record is as far as the second highest behind Mr. Prothro. But hey, I'd say go down there this week, Clinch County, get you 2-3 more in that game. Go to the state championship, get you 2-3 more, 4 more. And close that out this season and do a 4-peat. My goodness, what a record.
Next, we have North Gwinnett and Carrollton. The Carrollton Trojans will challenge the North Gwinnett Bulldogs at Grisham Stadium, and each of these teams will be fighting to keep a win streak alive as Carrollton comes in on a 13-game win streak, North Gwinnett on a 12-game win streak. And Carrollton is on a roll after a high-stakes playoff matchup last Friday. Everything went their way against number 1 Grayson as they made off with a 34-14 victory. Considering the Trojans have won 12 of their 13 games by more than 19 points this season, that blowout, though, was nothing new, despite the ranking of Grayson being number 1. It was another big night for senior running back Cam Wood, who obviously you just saw signed with Liberty today. He rushed for 177 yards, 3 touchdowns, while picking up 7.7 yards per carry. And with that strong performance, he is now averaging an impressive 104.8 rushing yards per game. On the other hand, you have North Gwinnett, who was able to grind out a solid win over West Forsyth last Friday, taking the game 25-15. They were tied at 15 at one point. Jake Godfrey, their one of the best linebackers in the junior class, they run him at the wildcat position. He ran in for a touchdown, and then West Forsyth, I think it was like around 4.5 minutes to go in the game, West Forsyth never got another first down, and I think North Gwinnett sealed the win there. But North Gwinnett, they are a top 10 team in 6A. West Forsyth was not, so that result of North Gwinnett winning was not necessarily unexpected. But Carrollton better keep an eye on senior wide receiver Braylon Jackson. He was instrumental in North Gwinnett's win. He picked up 164 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. Those 164 receiving yards gave him a new career high. And then you also had junior running back Wilson Taylor, who got in on the action. He returned a kick for a touchdown. I want to say 95 yards, but don't quote me on that. And then Carrollton's victory obviously bumped their record up to 13-0. For North Gwinnett, their win bumped their record up to 12-1. The only blemish on that record was in Week 1 at the Corky Kell Classic when they went on Saturday up to Mercedes-Benz and lost by 14 points to the Douglas County Tigers, who Carrollton beat by 33 points. I do want to say, though, that North Gwinnett team is not the same as they were in Week 1. And Douglas County, when we saw them in Week 12, they were not the same as they were in Week 1. So take that with a grain of salt. Yes, they lost to Douglas County, but would they lose to Douglas County now? I'm not too sure about that. North Gwinnett is really good. Their quarterback's a lefty. His name is Elam Rahman, I think. E-L-A-M, Elam Rahman, like ramen noodles. But they have a really good offensive lineman named Zachary Lewis. He's committed to Georgia. They kind of move him all over the place on the offensive line. Also plays defensive line. He's about 6'5", I want to say 295. He's a big old boy. They also got Connor Coxwell on the defensive line. He's pretty big as well, about 6'5". Obviously, Max Patterson, their tight end's about 6'5". That's 3 guys right there. And then you have Jake Godfrey, one of the best linebackers in the junior class in the state of Georgia. Obviously, Elam Rahman, who's a lefty, has an arm on him. He can throw that thing, and he's not afraid to run it. He's not real fast, but he's not afraid to run it, and he's not afraid to take a hit. And they're running back Khalil Mazzone. One thing I will say, though, I watched that Douglas County game live when it happened. They did not run the ball well against Douglas County. And they had a couple opportunities. Braylon Jackson dropped, I believe it was Braylon Jackson, dropped the ball that if he would have caught it, it would have been a touchdown. And then there was another one where they had their backup quarterback in, I think it was, or no, it was a flea flicker out to Max Patterson, the tight end. Tight end threw it just out of the reach of the wide receiver. And if he would have caught it, again, would have been a touchdown. So they had chances to be in that game against Douglas County, tie the game at least, and they just couldn't get it done. But this is a good team, no doubt. I don't think they've had a harder schedule than Carrollton. Definitely not in the playoffs. I mean, when you look at them as a in the season, I mean, the first 2 weeks they played top 10 opponents in Douglas County and Colquitt. And after that, didn't play another top 10 team until Lowndes in round 2. You know, North Gwinnett's a really good team. They played 2 top 10 teams at the beginning of the season in Douglas County and Colquitt County. Then didn't play another top 10 team until round 2 of the playoffs when they played Lowndes. But Carrollton's a really good team as well. And obviously North Gwinnett 12-1, Carrollton 13-0. Carrollton coming off of one of the best wins, not only in the state, but probably in the entire country. I do not like, though, that there is national rankings. The only reason I don't like them is because there's no national championship. I mean, there's not a bracket for a national championship. I don't think there should be. So I think it's just a distraction. And I don't like it that we are number 1 because I don't think we deserve. I don't know if we deserve it. But even if we did deserve it, I don't like it because I think it's a distraction. And what we should be worried on is the state championship and the state rankings. We shouldn't be worried about any of this national stuff. And I think that's one thing that had Grayson losing was because they got too worried about being number 1. They got, they were very cocky and very arrogant coming into the game as well. Which, when you win 26 games, you should be, and you're expected to be. But this is going to be a good game. I can't wait to watch it after, I watch it live and then go home and listen to, watch it on GPB and listen to what Matt Stewart and Wayne Gandy have to say about it when, each moment is happening during the game. But whatever team makes it to the state championship, obviously has a great chance of winning. So Carrollton obviously trying to make it for the second straight year, win their first state championship since 1998. For North Gwinnett, they are looking to go for the first time, I believe, since they won it back in 2017. That was the only time I think they've ever been as well. No, that's the last time they won it. I think that's the last time they've been as well. But both of these teams, this is the first time they're ever meeting. But Carrollton's a really good team, and for North Gwinnett, they're going to have to prove that they can shut down Cameron Wood. If they can't shut down Cam Wood, it's going to be a long, long night for North Gwinnett. And, I mean, Grayson showed that, the screens and the jet sweeps, if you have enough speed with the linebackers, you can get it done and you can stop Carrollton. But when they're running right down your throat and they're throwing deep balls and, they're mixing it up, it's hard to stop that Carrollton offense. And then defensively for Carrollton, they're going to have to get to that quarterback. And if that offensive line of North Gwinnett, which is large at some parts of it and not large at the other parts, they're going to have to be able to keep Elam Rahman. They're going to have to keep him off of the ground because, yes, he's mobile, but so was the quarterback for Grayson, and he still got sacked about 3 or 4 times, it seemed like. So that's really – I think this one's going to be one in the trenches, which most games are. But they don't have a really good run game from what I understand. What I've seen, they haven't had a really good run game. So it'll definitely be, I think, the secondary of Carrollton versus the North Gwinnett offense, and then it'll be Carrollton on the ground taking on that North Gwinnett team. But North Gwinnett also has Chauncey Davis in the secondary as a defensive back. He's a 3-star going to Southern Miss. So this one, not as star-studded recruit-wise as the Grayson Carrollton one, but this still has the makings of being a really good game. But I think Carrollton, I don't know if this one will be as close as the Grayson Carrollton game, but I do think it has the makings of being a very good game, a very entertaining game. But I think I like Carrollton. I hope they win, and I hope they blow them out, to be honest with you.
Yep, go Trojans. And we've got one more to go, and we'll take a quick break and be right back. Hey, everybody, I want to tell you about our friends at Buzzards Coffee here in Carrollton, Georgia. They're located on Bradley Street. They're open 7 days a week, and their owners, Bryce and Shay, are an amazing couple with the best staff in town. They're coffee lovers with a big heart for this Carrollton community, and it shows. They're committed also to continuing what that shop does best, and that is to serve high-quality specialty coffee made with love, plus the best ingredients that they can put their hands on, and making Buzzards a place that feels like home every time that you enter. And you can tell them the guys at West Georgia Gridiron Podcast sent you. They'll make sure you get the best brew in town. All right, Mason, we're back. We're going to close it out with the Heard County Braves.
The Heard County Braves, they're going to be welcoming the Toombs County Bulldogs at Staples Stadium on Friday. Heard County's currently enjoying a perfect season. No doubt wants to keep that rolling. Heard County's on a roll after a high-stakes playoff matchup last Friday where they won a matchup that could not have been any closer. They slipped by number 8 Fitzgerald by 1 point, 39-38. And for those keeping track at home, that's the closest victory the Braves have posted since the Bowdon game back in September of this season, where they beat Bowdon 29-28 at home. And multiple players turned in solid performances in this game to lead Heard County to victory, but perhaps none more so than junior quarterback Ethan Tisdale. He threw for 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, also rushed for 104 yards and 1 touchdown on only 14 carries. Junior running back Darius Coleman also helped out as he racked up 104 rushing yards. On the other hand, you had a Toombs County team who won against number 5 Thomasville in the second round 2 weeks ago with 24 points, and they decided to stick to that point total again last Friday in the quarterfinals as they took down the number 4 Northeast Macon Raiders in the state championship rematch from last year, and they beat them 24-6. Heard County, they got to keep an eye on senior running back Justin Powell. He was instrumental in Toombs County's win as he rushed for 183 yards, 3 touchdowns, and Powell has been hot. He's posted 2 or more rushing touchdowns the last 8 times he's played. Toombs County was unstoppable on the ground, finished the game with 204 rushing yards. They easily outclassed their opponents in that department because Northeast only rushed for 69 yards. Toombs County did not go easy on the quarterback either. They picked off 2 passes before the game was over. The team can thank 2 different players for their defensive prowess, sophomore defensive back Nick Carroll and junior safety Brandon Stevens, who each picked up 1 interception apiece. Heard County, obviously 13-0. Toombs County, 12-1. The only loss for them was against Rome. And Friday's contest might be decided on the ground. Heard County's been unstoppable on the ground this season. They've averaged 196.5 rushing yards a game. However, it is not like Toombs County struggles in that department, as they've been averaging 188.5 rushing yards a game. So there's a good chance Friday's game turns into a tough fight on the ground. And I do think that's where this one's going to be won. Both of the, I'm not too familiar with the size on the offensive or defensive line for Toombs County. I am with Heard County. And, whichever team can run the ball better is going to win this game. Heard County does have an advantage, in my opinion, because they not only have Darius Coleman to run the ball as the running back, but they also have a guy like Ethan Tisdale who can throw the ball. He can throw on the run and put it right where he needs to put it. He's elusive. He can escape the pocket. And he can also just take off and run with it. And he's a pretty fast guy for someone who plays quarterback. And so I think that's where they have the advantage over Toombs County, because Toombs County does have a really good running back in Justin Powell. But their quarterback, Joseph Owens, to my understanding, is not a very good runner. He's definitely not as good as Ethan Tisdale running the ball. So I do think that whichever team can run the ball better is going to win this game. Obviously, Toombs County had 2 interceptions last week. Ethan Tisdale doesn't give up the ball too often, so I'm not really expecting him to turn over the ball. But again, if you shut down the run game of Heard County, you still got to worry about Brody Butt-Cofield. You still got to worry about Trip Kerbo. You still got to worry about Zayden Moreland. You still got to worry about Max Lassiter. Those guys catching the ball. And Heard County has one of the best front sevens in Class 1A Division 1. So that's another thing Toombs County is going to have to worry about. And so I think skill position-wise, I think Heard County's better. I think they have a more explosive offense. I do think, though, that Toombs County might have a slightly better defense. But this one's definitely going to be decided in the trenches and on the ground. And obviously, Heard County, their defense at times has been a little bit shaky, a little bit inconsistent. Their offense has been fine, though, all season long. And so defense wins championships, offense wins games. So both of those are going to have to show up. But I assure you, if you go up 17-0 and let Toombs County come back and get a 9-point lead in the fourth quarter, you ain't gonna win that game. I mean, Toombs County's just too good of a team to do that. They're not Fitzgerald. This is the reigning state champions we're talking about. Just ask Temple how they did. Temple had to go all the way to Toombs County over there in Lyons, and they ran all over Temple. Just ran it up the middle just about every time, and Temple could not stop them. Now, I'm not saying that Heard County is Temple. I'm not saying that at all. Heard County has a much better defense. But got to be able to stop that run, and that's something that not too many people have been able to do against Toombs County. Obviously, they're going to be looking at that Rome game as kind of a blueprint of how to beat Toombs County. But Toombs County, again, that was in non-region play. Toombs County is a much different team than they were in that Rome game. So this one's going to be an interesting one. Obviously, Toombs County, again, trying to go back-to-back this year. Oof, this one's going to be close. This one might be the closest of all three games. I have this one being 4 points. 4 points. Oof, 28-24 is my score prediction. 28-24. That means the winner scores 4 touchdowns, the loser scores 3 and gets a field goal. And I have the winner being Toombs County. And I know that's a shot through the heart of a lot of people. But I think Heard County's defense has been a little too inconsistent. Now, granted, they had a great comeback win against Fitzgerald, and there's, obviously nobody's going to tear them down for that. I'm not going to do it. But Toombs County's such a good team, and they've been on a roll. Hasn't been too many people that have been able to stop them. Only one team's been able to beat them. And Heard County, man, it's just, I know they have home field advantage, but I don't even know if that's going to matter. And again, to be the champion, you got to beat the champion. And I don't feel comfortable picking over the champion Toombs County Bulldogs in this one. And I would love nothing more than for Heard County to go out there and really pull up Murphy on them and just beat them 40-something to 10. I would love that. I would love nothing more. But I have to pick Toombs County in this one, and that's just the way it is. And but I would love to see Heard County go to the bins, and if they do, I would definitely be there. But I'm gonna have to pick Toombs County in this one.
Coach Lassiter or the boys, if y'all are listening, I have you going all the way. I still believe in you. All right, GHSA State Championship is going to be happening December 15th through 17th. So Mason and I will be doing a special episode on Thursday, December 11th for our warm-up Thursday show. So we're going to be featuring and going into depth of all that you can be looking forward to in the state finals. I hope that all 3 of these teams from West Georgia make it in. But we'll see as we come back on Monday to do our recap from this Friday night's game. So good luck to everybody. Everybody stay warm, stay healthy, and we'll see you on Monday.